Hello,
Hey Johannes, how you going?
I'm doing good, thank you. Sorry, you had to wait a minute for me here, but now everything is working as it should.
No
How are
problem at
you?
all. I'm great. Welcome to probably many of your interviews that you're about to do with Australia to promote your upcoming tour, the first for the band. How's it feel to finally be getting down here after 20 years?
Amazing. It's always that first, kicking that door in the first time. It's proven time and time again to always be the hardest. And that's just it, I guess. There's this intention of having this be the beginning of a beautiful friendship, you know? And just as a purely from a bloke who gets to travel a bunch, it's just the fact to go to somewhere and have it feel a bit exotic again for the first time in a while means a lot. And sorry, of course, go ahead, open. Sorry, I'm having renovations done in this building at the same time, and there are inspections and things all going on
Oh,
all at
good.
once.
Oh, good. So you've had a bit of time to live with the new album. So how's it feeling after it's been released? How has it aged? No, that was not very old, but how has it aged for you?
Very well. I think all of these things that we have set out to do with it, I guess like this, the way we felt about the songs, making them, and what we wanted to feel like when we had it in our hands, we did. And I think there's something to be said when something is being, what's the word, articulated well.
Yep.
That people who listen seems to feel about it pretty much the way we do, you know.
Yep.
So
So
no, so it's fantastic.
So, in preparation to chat with you, I had a quick little interaction with Jay Ruston, your producer.
Mhm.
Um, and I said to him, give me some cool stories about making the album. He said to me, no, what you need to know is they're all amazing cooks. So, what was the dish of choice that Jay Ruston wanted out in the woods with Avatar?
Well, so all five of us in the bands are vegan, as is Jay Ruston,
Yep.
um, which is nice in itself, as you don't always get to live in that kind of echo chamber bubble where everyone is exactly on your page. No, but I think there were some parallel things going on. Like John is big on learning Indian recipes, and so he did a lot of that. Hendrik did a lot of. Sorry about the noise in the background. I
All
don't know how
good,
much
man.
your mic picks it up. Okay, good. Um, Hendrik, what did he do? Well, skip that. Let's talk about what I did. I did a lot of. One thing was to explore, very traditional Swedish cooking or vegan versions thereof, and introduce Jake with that. So not just do the Swedish meatball, but also the Swedish version of the mashed potato and with the lingonberry thing and the pressed cucumber with the dill and the thing and the almost a lightly pickling thing you do with it.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Things like that, or something called kåldolmar I made for the first time. Kåldolmar is Karl the 12th, King of Sweden in the 18th century, was in exile in Turkey. Probably had, those kind of vine leaf things,
Yeah.
dolmas. Loved it, brought the idea home and wanted something like that in a place that where wine doesn't grow. So is basically, again, this is the vegan version, but is a meat mince, onion filled cabbage leaf that you can roll up in the
Okay.
same way. And that was a great success. That was the first time I made them, so they were huge, like I don't know, like loaves of bread, because I just the fine motor skill to
Yep.
nail it was not quite what it was. But yeah, I did gain. Do you do metrics in Australia?
Yeah.
Please say you
Yeah.
do. Good.
Yep.
I gained 10 kilos.
Wow.
I shedded it quickly enough after a while, but yeah, no, we were like living isolated in the wilderness, like an overfed doomsday cult.
Perfect. He said like the whole recording, not just with the you went hiking, you all interacted, but he said everything was just down and dirty. We were just isolated. We just
Yeah.
got down and dirty and just got it
Mm.
done. And do you think that that has made a difference in how this record has sounded?
It most certainly did. At the very, very least, just that making that the ambition, because we recorded with Jay the album before that as well, and we went to LA to record with LAJ, and it was fantastic. We were in his, I guess, one of his absolute favorite studios where he works in all the times, Sphere Studios. I think now it's sold to Stevie Wonder, from what I heard. And it was really, one of those big, great, fancy recording rooms for the drums and all the equipment you could dream of. And what wasn't in-house was one phone call away, because you are in Los Angeles, the center of the music business universe. And you kind of feel the way that affected me mentally, at least, is that you are in this cool, looks like in the old documentaries kind of studio. And it makes everything kind of slick because it's fancy sounding. It's Toto, like you're recording Africa or something. And which is great. But I think also, as dark as the themes are, as heavy as the riffs are, on Hunter Gatherer, somehow still to me, it sounds a bit too fancy for me. But it sounds great. No, it sounds objectively great. You have this, especially that it has this heavy low end that is amazing. But then we started to kind of remind ourselves, like, okay, what is metal? What is aggressive music? What is the thing that gets us going, And in that, it's not so much the low end, it's the mid range where the guitars have teeth, and it's an environment of, to be in a bit of a messier situation. So the ambition to do it like that affected the songwriting. Then ironically, because the rooms we recorded in is this extra building that, because we were on the property of my family's, like our summer cottage, okay, but it's an old, like, not a farmhouse. There's another word for it, but kind of a cottage. But there are extra buildings. There's something that used to be a barn. There's something that there's the woodshed. There are a bunch of things. Then we, and by we I mean everyone except for me in the family, have built and added things to it. So there's this extra building that is just tiny entry hall, 3 bedrooms. That was a studio. We tore out the beds, 1 control room, 1 for the amps, 1 for the drums and people to sit in when they recorded. And so very rudimentary and primitive as far as making a full-length high-end album.
Yep.
But ironically, because this is a fairly simple construction, it didn't have any, like, cement foundation or anything. It's more, when you build your foundation simply with rocks. And that kind of made the building vibrate and create this resonance box for the bass drums. So it sounded huger than it was. It was very unexpected. But no, like, we definitely went into this with a good idea where we were going sound-wise. And so how much it was the actual place and how much it was the mindset. I mean, in a way, it's like potato, I guess.
Yeah. I love the fact that with it, though, the album is heavy, but there are so many textures. Like, you've got songs where it almost sounds like you're scatting and doing a bit of bebop. And then there's, I hear like a bit of funk in the background too, but still with big balls, like massive, like production and massive sound. So for me, as someone that came late to listening to your music, I started with the beginning and I went up and you can hear it as a natural evolution, which is really great. And this album just opens up so much more, which already has me excited for the next one. So how many of these songs will you be playing live in Australia?
Oh, we do a good amount. I mean, the Australian show will be, very much based on the headline sets that we've been doing throughout Europe and North America so far, which also means we stay on stage and bother you guys for close to 2 hours, but it's just flies by. And honestly, how many are there? 4 or 5? I guess 5. Like, we do about roughly half the album.
That's great.
Now, we are very proud of it.
Now, of course, the one that you wouldn't be able to do is the duet with Lzzy. How did you get involved with getting Lzzy on the album?
So that started with the music, which I feel very good about. Like, it has been whispered in my ears, and our ears for years, that features don't hurt. They
Yeah.
don't hurt at all, you know. And you kind of, you put it in the back of your mind, okay, features don't hurt, but we don't want to do anything where it doesn't feel like it has to start with the music, and it did this time. Like, Tim wrote those amazing riffs, tosses that bag of riffs over to me, and when I sit and start working on vocals, the very first idea I had was what you hear in the beginning of the song, this call and response thing.
Yep.
How hard can it be? How hard can it be? That thing. And as we did that, as I did that, is then I figure, well, Henrik has a fairly high, you know, upper baritone tenor voice and does a lot of back of vocals anyway. Okay, I guess Henrik's gonna be busy. But then I think I have probably obsessed with when Simon and Garfunkel do Sound of Silence in Central Park.
Yep.
So this whole thing of two lead harmonizing thing was in the back of my head, and just I kept writing like that and realized, well, now this is a duet. This song turned into a duet. So then was the question, okay, we got Henrik, but who could we ask? And the first thing I realized, you know, that, or I acknowledged, was that, you know, Avatar is a sausage party.
Yeah.
So already a female voice in and out of itself would add a lot of things that we cannot produce by ourselves. And Lzzy was very much top of the mind because we have done some shows with Halestorm.
Yep.
And I feel a very strong kinship to them, in that we when you stay in the business for a while in the metal world, you get a bit disillusioned in terms of the inner workings of different bands.
Yep.
You want everyone to be best friends all the time and everything to look like music video B-roll footage of an Iron Maiden music video where
Yeah.
they hang, you know, they point at each other while doing takes and laugh and high five a lot. Not all bands are like that. Halestorm are.
Yep.
That's a family. It's obviously a literal family with other relationships going on in that group, siblings and whatnot. But purely attitude-wise as well, where they choose to live in the United States, being close to each other, what they do in their free time, how much they hit the road with each other, and all that comes together. And we are also like that. We are a proper brotherhood in Avatar. So that was very relatable. And I think Avatar is a metal band, but that leans kind of heavily into rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I think Halestorm is the other side of that coin. In that I feel like that's a rock and roll band that leans a lot on the heavy. So there's an overlap there in the Venn diagram, the circles overlap somewhere. Yep. So all those things combined with that Lzzy is one of the greatest voices of our time.
Yeah.
Then it's just then was just and she said yes. So all those things combined was basically it. But it really started with the music, and it was cool to just find someone in a very well-established artist who was glad to say no one gets to be a fucking fascist. You know, cool. Yeah, yep. She signs off on the message. Sweet.
That's perfect. Now I've got time for one more question because you'll have a waiting queue very soon. What is one singer or artist that your fans would be surprised that you love? They wouldn't expect you to love them.
I think I've been kind of open about it through the years, but I have a soft spot for, I think many of us do, whatever crappy music that was around when you were 11, you are way more lenient towards and forgiving towards than other things. So the whole Euro disco thing of the late 90s, and in particular, I would say Aqua, the Danish Norwegian group.
Yep.
But when I joined the band, when I got to know John, and what you do, you know, you have this little pissing contest of what bands do you like? What bands do you like? How many CDs do you have? It still mattered for a little while there when we were kids. Where was I? Sorry. He was ashamed of having the Aqua debut album, and I'm like, oh, I don't have that one. I'll take it.
Yeah,
and
great.
and but and I also think that honestly, we love making music videos. We love music videos with stories. I think that seed was planted for us being roughly around 11 years old when all those, you know, the Dr. Jones and Barbie Girls and all those
Yep.
came out. I think that that combined with, you know, Michael Jackson, seeing that as a kid and stuff, had a lot to do with it. So I think they also have played an influence on this band.
Well, you'll be here in the not too distant future. Maybe we should have Barbie Girl as your intro music for when you come on.
No,
But
I'm so fed up when bands when metal bands do funny, ironic stuff like that.
so no Barbie Girl intro.
Oh hell no. Yeah, and no Barbie Girl covers either. And
Okay.
just that's I will enjoy that for what it is, and then we do what we do.
Awesome, Johannes. I will see you when you get down here very, very
I
soon.
cannot wait. Thank you so much for your time here, for
Thank you.
spreading
Have
the
a
good
good day.
word. You too. Thank